throttling up and cleared for takeoff. It's a marvelous morning for some rail fanning action. The rails gleam, the sky is blue, and the hissing of the tracks indicate an oncoming train. We start our morning off strong with Norfolk Southern Intermodal Train number 204 bound for Rutherford, Pennsylvania. It is instantly identifiable because it is the only intermodal train guaranteed to have a mid-engine DPU. Northbound train number 204 is also one of the longest regularly scheduled trains to pass through the Greenville district. When my friends ask me, what's rail fanning all about? What's it like? Train number 204 is always the train I take them to see. Trains 203 and 204 are great, but they weren't our motives for coming out today. The real prize this morning is foreign power, trains from other railroads operating on the Norfolk Southern system. And there's plenty to be seen. Here in Greenville, trains 222 and 265 are guaranteed to have foreign power. Most days, they consist of BNSF through power, but some days, they have so much more. Making a rare appearance on 265 is a Kansas City Southern. Notice how its Southern Belle paint scheme glimmers as it zooms by on the sunny side of the tracks. Foreign power is not an uncommon sight here in Greenville. Between our daily BNSF trains, plus frequent visitors Union Pacific, Kansas City Southern, Canadian National, Canadian Pacific, CSX, and occasionally Ferromex, the rails of Upstate, South Carolina are some of the most colorful on the East Coast. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to matter to the line of impatient drivers awaiting for 265 to pass. Fortunately for them, however, K Drive is home to the fastest track speeds in the Greenville district. Slated for 55-mile-per-hour operations, trains are either speeding up for Greenville or slowing down for downtown Easley when they pass by K Drive. As a rail fan, seeing the end of a freight train is one of the most conflicting moments you can experience. Decisions have to be made, and there's not much time to make them. Do I chase this train, or do I let it go? I just couldn't make up my mind. But eventually, after pondering that beautiful Southern Belle painted Kansas City Southern, I decided to hop in my car and try to beat the train to Clemson. The forecast called for splotchy skies today. Those dark, ominous clouds over Clemson seem to uphold the meteorologists' predictions. Located adjacent to the tracks is Clemson's rendition of Ace Hardware. Its parking lot offers panoramic views of the Clemson Curve, which funnels trains towards Clemson's Amtrak station and the Lake Hartwell Rail Bridge to the south, and Liberty, South Carolina, and points north, well, to the north. This is New Jersey-bound intermodal number 212, tasked with bringing southern goods up to the bustling Northeast market. It is often laden with UPS piggyback trailers, as well as other piggyback customers and intermodal containers. Much of the product that ends up at this very Ace Hardware is currently traveling on these here intermodal containers, from manufacturers all over the South to the many warehouses and distribution centers of the Northeast of the United States. Clemson is a football city, known for its drunken debauchery after football games. Since the train tracks pass right through the thick of things, it's no wonder that these no trespassing signs are littered everywhere. You can't walk more than 10 feet along the line without seeing at least two. Soon after 212 had passed, it started to hail. A very unexpected development for Nick Delahaye and I, who were just getting ready to launch the drone. Fortunately, it didn't take too long for the bizarre weather to pass us by, and right as the sky calmed, the tracks sprang to life with activity. A train was approaching, and judging by the metallic squealing of wheels upon rails, this had to be NS train number 154, the enormous and very loud northbound manifest. NS differs from other Class 1s by being a very visually abstract railroad. By this I mean that they often have many different car types littered throughout the train rather than organized by type or cut. That was not the case with today's rendition of 154, however. It was almost entirely enormous cuts of these here tank cars carrying ethanol, syrups, and chemicals bound for Linwood, North Carolina. A railroad tank car can weigh up to 300,000 pounds. So with so many tank cars and 154s cut today, it's no surprise to see two mid-train DPUs, one of them being Union Pacific Power. The appearance of that Union Pacific marked our third foreign power unit of the day. Union Pacific is not as common as BNSF here in Greenville, but still makes regular weekly or bi-weekly appearances. Its bright yellow paint scheme adds flavor to an already very colorful freight train.
Good shot of the cone landing.
I was already pretty ecstatic over my Union Pacific catch when I remembered we had an eye in the sky. It took a few minutes to wrangle down the drone and collect the footage it had captured, but when we did, it was well worth the wait. Nick was able to pilot his craft directly over the UP unit, trailing it as it made its way around the Clemson Bend. Antsy for more shot variety, Nick navigated his drone right up to the cab of the Union Pacific, angling it towards the window. I tell you, if there was an engineer in there, he'd be given quite a fright. Our drone is doing an excellent job keeping up with this mighty locomotive. About 55 minutes after we arrived in Clemson, the train we originally came to see finally made its appearance. BNSF train 265 had been holding for the two northbound trains, but was now finally given the A-OK to proceed southbound by Norfolk Southern Dispatch. Safe travels, my foreign power friends. Kansas City Southern is wonderful, but I'd already seen it twice today. And with a Union Pacific now in the picture, I just had to break off and head north. I was counting on 154's famed sluggishness to give me the ability to leapfrog and intercept the train somewhere near the Saluda Trestle. As it happened, I didn't have to rush at all. 153 wasn't done doing yard work in Greenville, so northbound 154 had to lay up and wait. This gave me a marvelous opportunity to investigate this UP locomotive up close and personal. That motto, Building America, is more factual than you may think. Union Pacific was signed into existence on July 1st, 1862, and was one of two railroads to meet at Promontory Point, marking the completion of the first transcontinental railroad. Railroads certainly didn't have equipment back then like we do today. It would have taken 10 of the locomotives used on the Transcontinental Railroad to match this SD-70AH. At 159 years old, the Union Pacific is one of America's oldest railroads, yet despite its age, it's still going strong. Or was going strong, I should say. This particular locomotive is shutting down. With a dead train, overcast skies, and an empty stomach, all signs were pointing towards home for me. Hopefully the weather will improve later in the day, but right now it was time for me to take a break. I guess what they say is true. If you don't like the weather in the south, just wait a minute. Spring had sprung this afternoon in Greenville, South Carolina, and these flowers were making sure that everyone knew it. Not to be outdone, this azalea made sure it showed the camera everything it had to offer in the gorgeous afternoon sunlight. Rejuvenated by the springtime weather, I headed down to Arcadia to see what was happening trackside. Meet the smallest rendition of train 238 I think you'll ever see. At just 4 individual cars, this train shows us why 237 and 8 are viewed as nothing more than glorified locals. Restless from this morning's overcast skies, I decide to poke around a bit, only to discover this. Someone forgot to raise their high railer wheels while exiting the tracks. The driver was probably distracted by that gorgeous powdered blue sky, just as I was distracted by oncoming train 153. Featuring the Operation Lifesavers unit, 153's crew was in a joyous mood, probably because they were within a mile of their final destination. You know, despite foreign power heritage units, locomotives, and special paint schemes, sometimes it's fun to just sit back and watch a train go by. So why don't we do just that? Starting with this here DPU, sit back and enjoy train number 153 as it rolls into its Greenville destination. At this point, 10 minutes had gone by and the tail end of the train still wasn't in sight. One thing that was happening, though, was that the train was starting to visibly slow. That would prove to be a predicament for me. You see, Arcadia Drive Crossing is great for filming trains all day long. In the morning, the sun shines to the east, so it's just a matter of getting out of your car and setting up your shot. However, in the afternoon, the sun shines to the west. To get a decent shot, one has to cross the tracks and set up on the opposite side of where you're parked. While the shot is one of the best afternoon views available in the Greenville district, you do play the risk of getting cut off by a lengthy or slowing train. And unfortunately, it looks like that may very well be what happens to me today. This train is coming to a stop. Well, I'm stuck. This train's a long one, and it's completely blocking the crossing I need to utilize to get back to my car. It looks like it's gonna be the long walk for me today. Fortunately for me, there's plenty of entertainment littered along the path home, such as this sign. Now, I don't need a mattress, but now I know just who to call in case I do. Remember reading about cabooses as a child in children's train books? Well, you're looking at the cabooses replacement, the end-of-train device. These handy little tools are placed on the back of almost all freight trains. They monitor air brake pressure and sometimes complicated data, which is radioed to the crew. They also feature a blinking red light, which alerts other trains to the end of our train. Here's another railroad blast from the past, an open-door boxcar. Boxcars were the intermodal containers of their day, carrying much of the railroad's commerce up and down the line to eager customers. Another thing they sometimes carry are hidden passengers. Now, I didn't see anyone in this boxcar, but I did hear some squirming around in there. But sometimes it's best just to let sleeping dogs lie. So I decided to continue my walk onwards. A few more yards up and another oddity is discovered. This is all that remains of an industrial switch which connected the industries of Arcadia to the ex-Southern Railway main line. There's not an abundance of information on what became of this little industrial siding, but from what I can gather, most industries switched to truck-based transportation in the mid-1990s, rendering railroad service obsolete for all these industries. Today, many remnants of Arcadia's railroad heyday, such as this boxcar loading dock, can still be seen strewn about the neighborhood, a testament to Greenville's industrial past. This train car is teaching me how to live life to its smoothest. Just look at that guy vibing on the side of the hopper. You never know what you might see on the side of a train car. After quite the stroll, I'm finally back at my car, bringing to a close our foreign power fueled day of fun. Stay safe out there, and until our paths cross again.